himself through his own work, through himself. God took on flesh, dwelt among us, lived perfectly under the law that every one of us have broken. And this is a key point. When we talk about the law and the commandments of God, we must realize that everyone in the true intent of the commandments, no one has kept them. No one has offered a Sabbath that God would honor. The reason that God gave the Sabbath by the letter of the law was the same reason he gave the constrainment of the rest of the commandments. He was dealing with the outward effects of sin. For example, let me give you a good example. We know the Bible says do not murder, right? Or, do not make any idols or graven images. Any of these things, they begin in the heart. And what people don't realize is that the sin is already there in desire. What the lettering of the law in the Old Testament dealt with was the effect of the sin. Let me give you an example. Murder is really just hating and anger, with no acknowledgement of God. It's just pure rage, anger, and hate. But see, people only want to think of murder looking at the effect of hate. The effect of hate is when you actually go forward with the act. But see, we got to understand that God doesn't think like we do. God doesn't look like we do. We think that it only matters when we see the effect. God says, no, it matters when the very desire reveals itself in you. That is a revelation of a corruption, of a corrupt nature. So again, that's why we preach the gospel. The gospel reveals God's grace and mercy and love to save us while we were yet sinners. And understanding that faith in Jesus Christ reveals who he is as God, not just because he took on flesh, but that he's God. And that's why it's important that we understand that God, the Word, became flesh, dwelt among us. See, Jesus wasn't just somebody like us. He was God that took on flesh like us. That didn't diminish who he is. It actually fulfilled the things that we couldn't fulfill, that only God could do, so that he could take the wrath that we deserve upon himself, satisfying his own justice. I think a lot of people don't understand God's judgment. See, God is holy and just. A just God punishes evil. That means he can't turn his head away when evil has been committed. We've all done evil, and we don't understand that that means that we deserve death in hell. We've sinned against an infinitely holy God. And the reason that people have a problem with the punishment is because they don't acknowledge the holiness of the one who has established holiness. People have a low view of God, and that's why they don't think of sin as egregious as it is.